Right, got my baguette. I'm gonna have ham, cheese, and pickled onion. No. I'm gonna have mushrooms with pickle and could do a fried egg on. No, I might do a fried egg on top. Let's have some pork. And oh no, I've made a mess everywhere. And coconut.
Hello chappets! We are at this moment in time trapped in a big void of time and space as we await Frédéric Henry's Conan to come out. In that time I thought I'd check out another Frédéric Henry game which has just been released called Bâtisseurs Antiquité. Obviously this is the French version and so hopefully an English version will be available soon. But this is like a 2.0 version of his other game, Bâtisseurs, which is in English The Builders, Moyen Âge, Middle Ages, and it's pretty much the same game in a small tin. But will this tide me over until Conan comes out? At the beginning of the game, each player will receive 10 money, gold being 5 and silver value of 1, and they will choose one of the apprentices. Now each apprentice is slightly different. For example, this apprentice is skilled in brickwork and painting, whereas this one is skilled in woodwork and in architecture. You choose a starting player and give them the starting player card, and then every player will have 3 free actions to which to play. If they wish to have more than 3 actions, they can pay 5 to gain an extra action, and 5 for every additional action afterwards. The setup of the table will go like this. Anyone who's played the Builders Middle Ages will recognise this row of workers and this row of buildings, but they won't recognise this row of investments, which is new to this version of the game. As you can see, there are 5 cards played face up of builders, workers, and then there's these 4 piles of investment plus your money. Let's take a closer look at the actions that you can do. One of the actions you can do is you can hire a worker. It's a simple case of taking the worker that you want. So like for example, take this master here who has a level 3 in brickwork and a level 2 in woodwork, and he will cost 5 to put into play. You immediately replace that card, and if you wish to, you can take another one for another action and replace. Another thing you can do is you can take a building site. So it's a simple case of taking the card and then replacing it from the pile. And if you want another one, you can take another one and replace it from the pile. After a while, you start to have a bit of a collection of building sites and workers in front of you. A third action you can do is you can send one of your workers off to work on a building site. This will cost 1 action. So for example, if I send this master off, I'd have to pay 5 sisters to the bank, and then I can place him on the building that I wish him to work at, like so. And as you can see, these resources match up and line up identically, and so it makes it easy to count. So I've done the 2 paint required for this nobleman's mansion, but I've put some architecture in and I don't need to. If I wish to on the same turn, I could send another worker to work on the same building. But if I do, as well as paying the 5 sisters, I would have to use 2 action points to send him there. Whereas if I sent him to another building site, say over here, it would only cost me 1 action point. So for each additional worker you send to the site on a same turn, it will cost you more actions. So it's sometimes best to send 1 worker each turn, because it will only cost me 1 point of action on the next turn. Once the requirements are met, so in this case I've got more than 2 brick, got more than 2 wood and more than 2 paint, the workers return home and this building is complete. I will then recuperate the money value there of 10 sesterces. I flip this card over and this counts as victory points. So I have 3 victory points. If at any time I have more than 17 points worth of buildings in front of me, that calls for the end of the game. Some of these are not actually buildings. This, once I've constructed it, will become a crane, which will give me a resource of 3 stone, as well as some secret bonus victory points at the end of the game. This will go into my worker row, and I can use it as a worker. So for one action, I can send it to a building site, and it gives me 3 stone resource. The fourth thing you can do is, if you find yourself short of money, is you can take money from the bank. For one action, you can take 1 sesterce. If you use 2 of your actions on a turn, you can take 3 sesterces. If you use all 3 of your actions, you can take 6 sesterces. The fifth action you could possibly do is make an investment. Now this is new for those who have played Middle Ages. An investment, you can only do 1 of these on your turn. You're not allowed to do more than 1. So it doesn't matter if you have 3 actions or 6 actions on your go, you can only make 1 investment. One investment you can make is you can make a loan from the bank. You just basically take one of these cards, it will instantly give you 10 sesterces, but it'll give you a -2 victory points at the end of the game if you still have this card in front of you. Now you can take as many of these as you want during the course of the game, so you could have 2 or 3, you don't have to have 1. But you will have to pay 15 sesterces to get rid of this card and get rid of the negative victory points. Another investment you can make is you can buy a tool. You immediately pay 2 sesterces and then you choose whichever tool is remaining. So you have a saw, which will give you a +1 on wood. You will have an easel, you have a hammer, and you have some paint, and they will give you a +1. And then what you can do is you can use these tools with one of your workers. You can send a worker with a tool, which will give you the immediate benefit of that tool. You could send one of your workers to school. You pay an immediate 7 sesterces and you get to take one of these transparent cards, which give a boost on one of the skills. So for example, I pay 7, I collect this, which gives me a +3 on my skill. I then attach that to whatever worker I have, and that becomes a permanent skill throughout the whole of the game for that worker. Whenever I send this worker out, I just pay the cost of 5 for his work, and he gives me extra abilities. The last thing you can do, and last investment, is you can buy a slave. Now these cost 7, but whenever you send them out to work, they are free. You don't have to pay for them to work. But if you have any slaves left in your hand at the end of the game, they give you a -1 victory point. And as you can see, they all have different skills. With the slave, you cannot equip a tool with. And with the slave, you cannot send them out to school to learn bigger and better things. But what you can do with a slave is, for one action, is you can set them free. One action, you turn the card over, and the slave is freed. He will still do the same skills, but every time you send him out to work, you will need to pay 4 sesterces, and you lose that -1 negative point at the end of the game. Gameplay will continue until one player has more than 17 points of buildings in front of them. When that does, play continues until it goes back to the first start player, and then the game immediately ends. You total up all the buildings that you have built. You will also add into the count any machines, which give you extra 2 points. If you have slaves and they've not been freed, you will minus them, but if you wish to, you can pay 5 sesterces and free them, so you lose that -1 point. If you have loans and you have 15 sesterces, pay the 15 sesterces to get rid of the loan, and then you count up all your points. You count up your money. Each one is worth 0.1 of a point, and each 5 is 0.5 of a point, so obviously 10 money would be 1 point. The player with the most points is the winner at the end of the game. Le Bâtisseurs, Antiquité, or the builders, ancient, antiquity, whatever it's going to be called in English. This is a board game that every travelling board game player should take with them. It's a very, very small, inexpensive game, but it's a light to medium weight game, very much like something which is like 5 times the size of it. Take that and take that on holiday. It is quite a chunky game in here. Obviously a lot more chunkier than the original Middle Ages version, so if you like the Middle Ages one and you want a bit more of a challenge, this is a no-brainer. Go out and buy this. If you've not got that and you like what you see, well, go and buy this. It resembles very much Splendor, where you've got resources in the middle and it's a race to get to the end, because it's kind of mathematical, trying to use your actions to accumulate the most points and get the best route to victory. Although, in comparison to Splendor, this is just as easy to learn. There are more routes to go down because of the investments. You know, should you invest in slaves or not? Should you get bank loans and then worry about paying them off later on? And it's just a great little brain burner. It's not little because it's big. Honestly, it's bigger than what it should be in this box. The only downside for me when I play this is I don't have that want to play it again kind of feeling that I do when I play Splendor. I play a game of Splendor and I'm like, let's play again, because this time I'm gonna crush you. In this, you don't. That's not there. You play and you go, oh, that was good. Yeah. The components are wonderful. Nice tin box for those people that like tins. The money is good, the cards, the art is beautiful. All apart from these things here, which have done that. Oh well. Yes, this game plays in 30 minutes, as it says on the tin, but only when you've got 2 players. If you've got 3 players or more, the game becomes longer. And definitely not a game for those people that like to waste their electricity bills with their fridge door open as they decide what they're going to eat. If anyone is a very, very slow, thinky player, this game will drag and drag and drag. Unlike Splendor, where you have 1 action, you can just go bang. With this, you've got 3 actions, and it's like yeah, you get the picture. Plays better with more people because all the cards are changing all the time. You can kind of play in your own little world and worry about what you've got in front of you, or you can play and watch what the other players are doing and try and take the cards that you think they might want to benefit with. You know, if you see that they've got 3 workers, and if they play 2 of those workers, they finish that building, take that building and put it in front of you, you block them, so to speak. Or take, you know, you can take all the cheap workers, or you can take all the expensive workers, or you just take nothing but slaves, or, you know, it's up to you. That's what I like about this game. Lots of routes of strategy. Big game, small box. You could play it with children younger than 10. My daughter's picked it up pretty quickly. But apart from that, small tin, big game.
I don't know how many. Just like they do on beer and board games. Man, it sure costs not an average dream. I got no friends. Stupid. Play with nobody has no shame. So I play solo, just me and my tail. Why is it when I say I like board games? People look at me, excuse me. I should have some children, let them be.
Coffee time. Dum doo doo doo. Coffee time. Dum doo doo doo. Dum dum dum. Coffee time. Dum doo doo doo. Do do coffee time. Do 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 do. Break it down. Do 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 Stop. Coffee time. Do 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 do.